And aloha! Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and I'm your host on the only program that is by a fan, for the fan, and absolutely about you, the fan.
So are you Guy or Guy?
Ed Danowski.
You're not in Hawaii?
I wish.
To Mr. Gary Younger.
Hi, Guy.
Hey, sir, how are you?
And Brock, how are you doing?
Doing great, sir. Doing great. Honored to have you on the show.
You know, I had the privilege while I was in the forces, in the Canadian Armed Forces, to take the Stanley Cup to Afghanistan. Only hockey fans would deploy to Afghanistan where it's 105 to 135 degrees every day, and they'd take their hockey sweaters and play ball hockey. This is a year for the Leafs. The Leafs are going to win it all this year. One of the players down the line said, "You got to be kidding. The Taliban got a better chance of winning the cup."
And aloha! Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I am Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and I am your host on the show that is by a fan, for a fan, and you got to know all about you, the fan. How y'all doing today? That's right, I said y'all, man, what a day. What a fun day in hockey. Right now, you got Montreal and Winnipeg, and Montreal, where the hell did they come from? Brock, what's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Yeah, good.
You hearing?
Freezing on me a little bit, buddy.
Tell you what,
Yep. Okay, well, I'm supposed to have a special guest tonight, yet he hasn't shown up yet today. Hasn't shown up yet. I'm waiting on his. I sent him another message just to make sure. Hopefully, he'll pop in here soon. And we didn't get a time mix up. I don't think we did. So we'll just kind of play that by ear and see what happens. We're waiting for Brock to come back. Katrina says, I'm back from a life hiatus, ready to see the Knights lose. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not a fan of the Avalanche, especially the way that they treated us. You're back live. You're back, Brock. How you doing, bud? Maybe you're back.
I don't know what's going on because,
I don't.
Hold on for a second. Cut me out,
No
man.
problem. Oh, my goodness. It's just one of them days. You just got to deal with what you got to deal with. Like I said, we have a special guest lined up tonight. I don't know what happened. I sent him another message. We're waiting to see if I can get him on. Great guy. Played back in the early 2000s. Was part of the Stanley. It was part of the. I want neither to win, but I have my theories why the Avs will win. Well, I'd love to hear those, Kat, as we get to that point. One of the things that this guy did is he played on the President's Cup winning team, and he played alongside his fellow countryman, Pavel Demitra. And one of the things about Pavel Demitra was his time in St. Louis was special, right? You just knew that this guy could have been something great. And he loved to play hockey, and he would do anything it took. So after his NHL time was over, he went and played in the KHL. And unfortunately, at the start of a season in 2011, the plane that they were on, the pilot hit the brakes unexpectedly, and it caused a crash. And we lost all but one player or one person from that team. Brock today wrote an amazing article about, oh man, see, I'm even getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. About Dimitra and the connections to the past.
You want me to just pick it up?
Yeah, go ahead, man, for a second.
Yeah, so really, earlier in the year, we did a little thing where guys were writing about who are their top Blues of all time. And, I was really thinking about it. I was like, I really like Brett Hull. Of course, I like McGinnis. I mean, you just name off the names. Of course, I love those guys. But to me, growing up, again, when I was in the Army and watching the Blues from afar, the guy that was really special to me was Pavel Dimitra because he always showed up. You know what I'm saying? He always showed up to play. He scored some big goals. I think he kind of got a bad rap here in St. Louis to an extent. I think that after he died, people really started realizing and stories started coming out about what a great teammate he was. So again, we kind of connected it with, the death of Bobby Plager, which certainly shook the entire organization this year. And then even brought it back to the death of Bobby Gashoff as kind of three major moments in the Blues history that involved deaths of, players or former players or people who are very beloved to the organization. So we just kind of connected those dots. And as we got into it, for me, Pavel Dimitra, again, he's the greatest Blue. I hold him in very high regard. I love Pierre Turgeon. They're guys that won't show up on people's lists. They really just won't. But to me, they embody the grit and the spirit. And again, they came up short, man. They came up short a lot of times, but they did it with class. And I was appreciated about those guys.
Yeah. It just, so for me, I mean, you kind of asked me, what Dimitra meant to me. And I told you, he was kind of from part of that dark period of my time where I really didn't get to follow the Blues that much. When they in 01, or was it 01? In 01, when they went that, I was on I was on a deployment at the time and was celebrating a little bit until they got destroyed by the Avalanche. But when I heard about the Dimitra plane crash that morning, for me, it was the morning. I heard about it in the afternoon because I was working second shift. And when I went into work that day, and I was really I was affected. I was really, really affected by that. I mean, I had a rough time at work that night. And I was only a supervisor, but it just was, it just kept coming back. I never met the guy, but it just kept coming back how huge this was. So it was one of those type of moments where you just, you don't know what happens, you don't know what effect you're going to have. And I got to admit, I got to tell you this,
guy, the reason why, the thing, hopefully we're still with you. Are we still with you?
Yeah, you're going in and out.
Still there?
Yeah, you're going in and out.
We're going to try to get this story out. But the thing I loved about Pavel Dimitra was I loved whenever they scored. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to pop out in there.
Okay, no problem. Well, I sorry about that. Never met Hull. I was young and I've never liked him, but he was he did not treat me very well. I've heard different stories about Hull. Now I met Hull. I was in my 20s. I met Hull. Actually, I was 21, I think. I met Hull outside the arena before a game with Adam Oates. And for me, that was a really great experience. I didn't have the negative experience that a lot of people have had, that some people have had. I don't say a lot, but some people have had with Hull. For me, it was a really, really good one. So there are some people that have just gotten Hull at the wrong time. I do remember when I got Hull's signature, some kid had his Hart trophy and he wouldn't sign that one. And I understood that. Right? I kind of understood that, but you could see the kid get a little mad. But, I also felt like the kid was autographed, he was trying to get that signed because he had like 4 things. He was doing it for a broker is what he was doing. So that was where I looked at it there. I'm still checking on our guest to see if he's got my message yet. It doesn't look like he has. I don't know what happened. I do apologize, but you know what? When you do live shows, this is what you get, right? You take that chance. You take your chance of not being able to have somebody on or anything like that. So you deal with it. And that's what we're doing. We're dealing with it today. We'll talk a little bit more about the coming up game, the Pick'em contest. Man, I'll tell you what, the Blues dropped out and everybody dropped out of the contest. You got to get back in the contest, people. I got great prizes to give away. You got to get in. Go check out stlfanreport.com for the contest. We're picking Avalanche and the Knights. And tomorrow, if I can make it happen, we're going to pick both games tomorrow, the Bruins and the Avalanche, and then the Carolina-Tampa game. And, Tampa last night put a shutdown lockdown on Carolina. That was amazing what they did. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely impressed with that.
Hey, Guy.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Guy. Before I got all gibbered up and stuff, I was trying to tell the story that the thing I loved about Pavel Demitra is that whenever they announced his name, whenever he would score a goal, it was Pavel Demitra. Like the announcer always got into it. It just really electrified the entire place. I used to love that.
Tom Calhoun, and you know how that stuff started? You know how he got in like that? I did an interview with him, and one of the first guys that he did that had that name was Kachuk. So he went to Kachuk and asked him, could I, do this thing? And then Keith Kachuk. And that's how we got into doing all those things like the Pavel Demitra. Right. So I have that. You know what? And there's somebody that I know we can get on the show again. Well, because I've had him like 3 or 4 times. I can get Tom Calhoun back on the show. I know he would absolutely love that. Right?
It'd be a lot of fun, man.
Ryan Green's back. Hey, Ryan, miss you in the contest too, buddy. It's still running. Don't forget, get back in the contest. Katrina says, I remember this from first grade. Yeah, it was an interesting time in St. Louis. And now, see, the thing is, that was just before the darkest of darkest. Mm-hmm. Right? The darkest of darkest. And the things that happened there were really interesting the way they happened. Mm-hmm. Ashley's got me. She says Pavel was before Walt. Ooh, you might be right. But I do remember him talking about
they played together.
They did play together, but I don't think they played together in St. Louis. I think they played together in Atlanta. Right? Ryan Green says, your thoughts on Montreal moving on? I'm so sick of the hype surrounding Toronto. Well, it reminded me of the hype surrounding the Blues, 2 years ago or last year, actually, winning the West and all of that. And then coming in and, being junk. Yeah. Jeremy, I see you did your pick'em. I got you there. E Guido just did his, right? Don't forget, get in and do your pick'em contest. Excuse me.
I'm doing it now, man.
All right, okay.
I'm doing it, man. Come on.
Yeah, Kat just did hers. So I'm watching. Yep, hey, I'm still waiting on Lubos. Hopefully we can get him. If not, we'll reschedule. It happens, you deal with it. Something might have come up. We go on with what happens and we work from there. I'll tell you what, your article though.
On Twitter today about.
Go ahead. Yeah, you froze on me.
I think I'm back, man. I don't know what's going on tonight.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah. We deal with it. Not a big deal. It happens. You were saying something about Twitter?
Well, on Twitter, there's just a story. I was just going to change the subject, but if you're still talking about Demitra, I don't want to.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Well, but there's a story about, I guess a Leafs fan had put out that he's going to burn his jersey. Everybody does that. And Doug Gilmour actually got involved and, really kind of called the fan to task and said, that was no way to be a fan. And you got to look for the tweet out there. But only Doug Gilmour popping up and causing a little bit of a rough with the Maple Leafs fans. I mean, he says, hey, it's the breaks of the game. It's what happens.
Yeah, no, I get that. And I never understood burning jerseys. Right. I never understood that. Yeah. People when Pujols
just donate a jersey to a kid's shelter. A kid would love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, not only that, it's just for me, it doesn't matter if the players are still with the team or not. He's still part of that, your connection to that team,
Sure.
whether it was a bad breakup or not. It's just the way it goes, you know. Nobody is going to be with the team forever. Nobody. Oh my goodness. Wait, you know what? It looks like it's possible. He might be audio only. Let me see here now. So before we go, I want to bring this up. I'm not sure if he can hear. He might be audio only. Let me bring this up here real quick. This is my guest, first ever NHL goal, and his first goal with the St. Louis Blues. Here you go. See if you recognize the name calling this goal. There you go. That was Lubos Bartecko of Slovakia. Let me bring him on. Hey, Lubos, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Okay. I guess we're not seeing your video, so I guess we'll just go with audio. Say again, sir?
No, I don't have a video. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Well, that's fine. We'll just work with audio. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. You know, just another day. Getting ready for summer. That's all.
Getting ready for summer. Well, where you live now, I'll let you say that because I know a lot of the fans that are watching are not going to be happy where you live. So I'll let you take the brunt of that.
Yeah, I moved to Nashville 2 years ago from St. Louis. So right now I'm in Nashville, and having fun, enjoying it. Nashville's a great city, so it's awesome.
Oh, that sounds great. What are you doing down in Nashville?
Well, I came here to coach the Nashville Junior Prep AAA program. They offered me a job 2 years ago. I came over here, and now I'm going to coach Nashville Warriors. That's a new organization that Martin Erat, former Nashville Predator, and Ryan Smith, former Edmonton Oilers and Captain Canada, they started. So I joined them. I'm going to be coaching the U11 team, and
well, I'm a member of the Blues Warrior hockey.
Nice.
The one for the veterans.
Nice.
Right. Even though I'm out here in Hawaii, they made me an honorary member. I'm a vet myself, so I think that's pretty cool. We were talking before you came on about your fellow countryman and line mate, Pavel Demitra. Can you tell us a little bit about how that all came about and what it was like playing with him when you came up?
Oh my gosh, that was something special. Just because when I came over for a tryout, I remember I was flying from Slovakia with all of my fellow countrymen. That we were, I think, like 10 of us. That my first training camp tryout. That after my junior years in Canada. So we were flying from Slovakia, from Vienna, and Pavel did not know any of us because we were young and he was already established NHL player. So we were sitting on the airplane and just kind of like looking over our shoulders because he was sitting like in the back row and just like, hey, this is Pavel. We were like so excited, like, oh my gosh, right? So that was kind of like a first, right there. And then we got there. And then my journey started, and I remember my very first call up that I got, came in, and he was like, I already kind of knew him because I was like, like after my first year in the minors, so we kind of got to know each other. But my first call up, and then I got call up again and again, and then after I think it was like third or fourth call up, I stayed in St. Louis, and I was living in Doubletree Hotel in Chesterfield. I remember that because I was there for almost a very long time. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. And then, Pavel, he was just like out of nowhere. He's just like, Bart, like, why don't you come live with me instead of you going to a hotel all the time and, staying in that one room? Like, you can come live with me. And, like, we'll go together to practice. And just like, because he was, he had his girlfriend now, wife. But she wasn't there. So it's like, why don't you come and, stay? So, that was the first time, like, like he was so nice and just helpful, whatever we needed. He was there for us, and, playing with him, he was just like very underrated player. Like I think he needed more credit than he was getting, just
Yeah.
because of the way he played. But, he didn't really care. Like he cared all about his teammates. He was a great teammate and care about, winning the games. That's all he, really wanted. And he wanted to win the cup, but obviously that didn't happen. But, every time that we played like for national team or for, Blues, and like he was the heart and soul for that team, So for me, it was something unforgettable that, I wish anybody could experience it. Not just
Hmm.
like playing with him, but, like back then, like the team that we had when we won the President's Trophy, like players like
Yeah.
McInnes, Pronger, Turgeon, Scott Young, Mark Bergevin, all these guys. I mean, Jamal Mayers. I mean, every name was something. So for me, it was just like a dream come true, and I was just like living my dream, right? So it was great, great experience. I wish it would have lasted longer, but I enjoyed every moment, and I had so much fun playing for St. Louis Blues. And I always say, like, St. Louis, playing for St. Louis, that was my best hockey years that I've ever had. So always very happy to go back to St. Louis. That's where I met my wife. That's where, we always go back there. So St. Louis is in my heart.
Well, I mean, that seems to be a lot. So Ryan Green has a question that kind of goes with what you were just talking about. I know you can't see it on the screen, but I'll bring it up for everybody else. When you think of the Blues, what do you always hold on to in your memory playing for the Blue Note?
What do I always hold on? Just the atmosphere, like when I walked into the locker room every single morning, it was just this atmosphere that it was, as a family, like it was something that you were looking forward every day. Like it was, to me, it was kind of like when I walked in there as a young kid, from Slovakia, and you had like Al McInnes, right, Pronger, and they were
Yeah.
just like another guys, like treating everyone the same. It doesn't matter if you were, from if you were the, whatever, fourth line player, or you were the, power play guy, it doesn't matter. It was always, treated, the same. And, to me, that really stand out. And till this day, like, I'm really good friends, like with almost everybody. And like Kelly Chase is like right there. Like we've been, like his son is same age as my son. So we've been, they've been playing together, and Kelly was, here all like helping, us, and Al McKinnon, I coached with him the AAA 16s team. So it's just things that you go in, and the alumni program that we have as a Blues, it's phenomenal. Like every time I'm in St. Louis, I bring my hockey gear, I skate with them, and just do when I was there, was doing all the events that we had. It's just like really feels like when I get there, it's like I never left. It's awesome. Like and that's something that sticks with me. Like just the friendship that I developed, and even though I've been there not very long, but still, like they didn't care. Like, and I'm their friend. So it's just like that. This was something like uh, the atmosphere that's been there. It was and from the players, coaches, and management, it was the same. So it was that was something that really stuck with me, and I really enjoy going back to the games, and the skates, and just like seeing everyone and talking. It's awesome.
Oh man, you hit my heart. I'll let you go ahead there, Brock, so I can take a
Yeah.
breath. He
Real
really
quick,
hit my
again,
heart
Lubos,
there.
again, thanks for joining us. We're really honored that you're on the show. A lot of times we're talking obviously about the current Blues team, and Vladimir Tarasenko's had really a rough go, and there's been certain talk about the expansion draft and just all kinds of discussion. What's your take on Tarasenko and his experience here in St. Louis? Do you think the fans are down on him, like kind of like they were on Dimitri? Do you think it's unfair?
I know, he is a phenomenal player. Like, he is a difference maker every time he steps on the ice. If you watch him, he, the way he skates, the Tarasenko move that everyone's calling right now, that's something that sticks with him. And, like but, fans or people don't understand what he is going through, like the injury wise. Like it's not easy to have an injury and then come back and perform right away. Like it takes time. And with his, shoulder that he had problem with, and especially like shoulder, that's like, part of your right? Like not legs, like your arms. Like you need that shoulder to be 100% in order to shoot the puck, make passes and things like that. So, for him, I kind of understand where he's, going and how, like how he feels. Like it's not easy. And still, he is when he's playing, he's the best player, right? So like imagine if he was, healthy the entire
Yeah.
season. Like I mean, hockey sport is like very, very difficult sport. Like, it's fast and it's contact sport. So like you get injured. Like that's just like you're gonna get injured. None of the hockey players go entire career without injury, right? So like for him, I kind of, feel bad for him because, when I watch games, even now, like when I watch games, I watch those best players, right? So when I watch Blues, I want to see Tarasenko. I want to see, like Toronto. I want to see all these guys. When I watch other teams, like I want to see the best players perform, right? And if they're
Mhm.
injured, that's not, like it's something that, like it's tough. And I get it for him, but this is the hockey life. Like, you have to face it. And I think he's handling it pretty well. It's just really sad that, he's battling those injuries.
Yeah, I
Thank
with
you.
you. So we sent we wrote an article or released an article today about the loss of Dimitra in a plane crash. I sent it to you. Did you have a chance to read it by any chance?
I didn't get a chance to read it. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. But one of the things that I wanted to say is we connected it to the loss of Bobby this year. How much did that affect you, or did it, or with the loss of Bobby Plager from the Blues this year?
I mean, Bobby, he's been heart and soul, St. Louis. And, every time, whenever I stepped in there, like you knew Bobby was there. Like he was there for the fans. He was there for the club. He was doing everything that he could for the club and for the fans, right? So like when I was there and I retired, I was, living in St. Louis. It was, always around the alumni, and he was right there. He was like, I mean, wherever you walked in, you went to the game. We had an event. He was there. Like that's who he was. Like you can't really replace that. That's not possible, right? So like losing him, it was like really big loss, for the St. Louis family and for the St. Louis organization. I mean, you can't really, it's tough to say, but that's just reality. That's life, and we have to face it. And like we have to be sad about it, but at the same time, like we just have to celebrate the stuff that he has done for us and for the organization and for the fans. Like I mean, he was unreal, and every time we went up to the room, upstairs when we were, the Blues press box that we had for the games, like he was there, like walking around, making sure everyone's comfortable and talking to everyone. If you had guests, like he made sure that he stopped and said hi. Like he was so nice. Like he was so awesome to be part of the organization, part of him. Like it's something that it was really shocking for me when I heard it. Like but I don't know. It's sad, and I was very shocked. But again, we can't really pick and choose. I mean, look at Pavel. Pavel, same thing. Like we were playing
Yeah.
hockey, and I was supposed to meet with him because they were flying actually to our town because they were playing us.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like right before they took off, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, everything's ready." Like like because he wanted me to make sure that he has a box for his family that were coming in. Like, yeah, it is. And it was right after our practice. And he texted me, I got the text, and then I was walking to my car, and he was sitting on the plane when he was texting me. So the plane was taking off. I didn't know, right? And then I was walking to my car. I sat in my car, and one of my teammates ran after me and is like knocking on my window, and he's like, "Do you know what happened?" I'm like, "No, what happened?" And he's like, Pavel's plane crashed and everyone's dead. I'm like, what? And it just like literally, I just didn't know like what just happened, and I just like panicked, and like he was just like my brother, right? So like I pick up my phone and I start calling him. I'm like, I couldn't believe it, right? And I start
Yeah.
calling him, and there was no answer, no answer. And it was a shock. Like it was something that you're losing a family member. So that was tough. That was like really tough, and but again, like those, it just you have to get through those. It's not fun. It's not easy, but again, like now they're always in our memories, and we always speak about them, with the memories that we had, and they're all happy. So it's awesome. They're gonna live, with us forever.
Oh yeah. So
I
hey
got a real
everyone,
quick
this is
question.
Guy.
Oh,
This
sorry.
is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We are joined today by former Blue Lubos Bartecko. My co-host is Brock Banner. We're brought to you by War Stories Coffee, Mike Zook Enterprises, and Forrest Grump Enterprises. Check out stlfanreport.com for great articles, our advertisers, and the Pick 'em contest. Okay, Brock, go ahead.
So you just mentioned that you're so very close to Pavel. So obviously our hearts are with you during this whole difficult time. But he obviously left behind a wife who had been ill and a young son. He had lost a son. How is the family doing today? I mean, do you still keep in contact? And I'm sure obviously this was a devastating thing to their life. Are they back on track? What's going on with them?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't talk to them all the time. I don't talk to them. I just talk to Maya, like, when I saw her, it was in Slovakia, I remember, like a couple of, years ago or so.
Sure.
And then on Facebook, just see the posts that she posts, and like, comments and stuff like that. And when I was back home, like, I don't know, right after I retired, like, she was doing really good. She lives, in Bratislava, and her son plays soccer. He's like probably one of the best, prospects in
Yeah.
Slovakia soccer wise. So like he's really good soccer, but like his dad was a big soccer player. So
Yep.
and so he's,
Yeah.
he's doing really good. He's playing soccer, and his daughter she just had a birthday. I think it was her 16th birthday, and
Mhm.
from the pictures that they look really good. So I'm really happy about that they're kind of moved on. And it took him a while, like especially Maya, like it was not pretty. Yeah, like I can only imagine, like I don't want to imagine. It was not, but she had a lot of support from everyone, from the Blues, from friends, and family in Slovakia. So that was really good. But I'm sure it took her a while to kind of get back and start living the normal life, sort of. But right now, I think they're doing pretty good.
Good.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's good to hear. So Ryan Green's got another question from you, and this is another good one. Could you explain the atmosphere when you and your teammates would walk down the hall and enter the ice rink in Chicago? What was the rivalry like as a player in that building? And that would have been the United Center. I
Yeah,
remember, yeah, that would have been the United Center.
yeah, that was good. Like I didn't really pay attention to the fans when I play. I was just kind of focused on hockey, but you can tell and you can feel the energy that at the United Center. That's something that it was. But back in when we played Chicago, like Chicago wasn't that good, so like it was just kind of like they were not like they used to, like they're now, like when they were winning all these cups, that they were nothing like that back then. So but I can only imagine like how it was, during that years. But yeah, you can feel the energy. I mean, as soon as you were walking out, like you can feel it. It was great, and that's something like a lot of players use it as a energy boost. Like when you walk out, and just to me, it was just great because it just kind of pumped you out, and you can perform a lot better.
Yeah. So I've also heard this from a few. What was it like walking into Kiel Center then, or whatever, or Savas Center, whatever name it has, when you're getting ready to go on the ice for game time and you're hearing, "Oh, when the Blues go marching in." What was those feelings like?
You know what? It always gives me chills even now when I watch the games. And I go to the games and I sit up there, and it's just like I videotape just like a fan, I videotape, and it's still the same feeling. It's so funny that you said, like, And now I kind of realize that, when you're down there as a player, you kind of like you're in your moment, right? You're focusing on a game and you're walking out and just like literally it's
Well,
like somebody's
Jordan
giving
wants me
you
to.
it's somebody's
No, go
giving
ahead,
you a
sir.
steroid shot, right? So and then you're coming out and it's awesome. And now like when I'm sitting in stands and watching the game, especially like in the playoffs when like when they won the cup, it was something unreal.
Yeah. So Jordan's telling me to tell you sorry that I had your ears listen to my singing. That she doesn't want you to go away. They're enjoying that, and they also said that you're very passionate, and they loved how it was inspirational how you talked about the things that you talked about. We really appreciate that. I think Brock's got a question for you.
Yeah, I was gonna. So you obviously you're doing coaching now, and you've been coaching for a while. How would Lubos Bartecko, the player, do under Lubos Bartecko, the coach? Would he succeed?
I think so. It would be, well, let me tell you, like when I started first coaching, like after coaching is something else. Like, it's totally different than when you're a player. And, when I started coaching and coaching the youth, like coaching the youth a program, it's something totally different than if you're coaching pro. Like I never coached pro, but I kind of have the feeling, right? So when I started coaching the youth program, I was trying to coach the kids like a pro coach, and you cannot do that. So it took me a while, to kind of realize that and switch to a coach that you got to be a teacher sort of, with the youth program. Like you cannot be coaching the kids like a pro. So, to me, and that was the problem because my son is like he's 17 now. And when I retired, I got into coaching. So I coached him, and I've always been really, really hard on him and everything, like what he was doing. And he was like 13, 12, 13, 14, and he was a kid. And after a few years, I realized like they still need to learn, like
Yeah.
every time they go on the ice, they need to learn. So I have to be a teacher. I have to teach them like how to handle themselves, how to do things, and not, kind of like, because every time he did something wrong, he came, to the bench, and I was like yelling at him and just trying to like, what are you doing? And then, after a couple of years and, coaching with different coaches that already been around for years, like I've learned a lot, especially from a coach that he was in St. Louis. I started coaching first year with him, and that was U18, and his name was Scott Anderson, and he was phenomenal players coach, and I learned a lot from him. Then another coach here that I coached with last year, Steve Jennings in Nashville, like another phenomenal coach. So now I just kind of understand like, what to do and how to approach. But, to your question, if Lubos was a pro player, I don't know if that would be he would not get along with Lubos as coach. That's for sure. Because, no, I think he would. I think he would because, I kind of like, yeah, it would be tough, but now it just, it's different. So now I'm a different coach than I was
It's
5 years ago.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could see that. I know I coach my daughters in cross country and track and field a little bit, and I was not the best coach. I actually got kicked off from coaching because I was a little too energetic, let's say.
Yes.
You just want them to do the best, and that's all. And I absolutely understand that. So you got, while you were with the Blues for I think it was a little over 3 years, you got to play on the famous Solvak line with yourself, Pablo, who we talked about, and Michael Hanzus. What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh, that's what I was when I was telling you, like those were my best years with the Blues, hockey years that I was with. That was because of that. Just because, that line that we played together, it was like something that we clicked and, understood. And everyone on that line had a role. And I think that was the biggest, everyone understood like what his role is. Obviously, Pablo was Pablo. Zeus was, one of the best centers that I've played with. And my role was just going around buzzing and getting the pucks and making sure that forecheck hard and things like that, and supporting Pavel and Zeus. So that was one thing that I really loved, that everyone had a role, and we kind of communicated, and it was the best time that I've ever had playing hockey. So it was really nice.
Yeah, I can see that. So I'm wondering also, with that line, did your defenseman hate you?
Not necessarily. I mean, why? I don't know. Like, not hating. No, not at all. I mean, it was sometimes it was tough because we would keep the puck longer than we should in offensive zone, and not shared with defensemen. But it was just kind of like automatic. Like I did not. It was like a muscle memory where you kind of just pass it, and we had our set plays, and we were trying to do that. Yes, I sometimes I look back, and maybe we should have used defensemen more, just because if you have the best defensemen in the league like McKinnon and Pronger, like you have to use them, right? So but we did use them, and yeah, I mean, it was tough, but we enjoyed it, and we had success, so it was good.
Well, I was talking more on the communication side there. The three of you speaking Slovak during
Well,
your line change, and the defenseman not knowing what you were doing.
no, it was yeah, it was tough, but it was great because when we were going into the face-offs, it was great because we could talk Slovakian, and they couldn't
Mm,
understand. And
Yeah.
sometimes when you have the puck, and so like, for example, if like we are in defensive zone, and the guy that on the other team is carrying the puck, and you just kind of like yell for it, like, hey, like, you kind of pass it to him sometimes on an accident. But with us, we couldn't, because we were talking Slovakian to each other. So I knew exactly if somebody was trying to fool me. Like, I knew it was not Pavel or Zeus. So that
Yeah.
that way was good, and the communication. But it was tough because like we wanted to talk Slovakian all the time, but it was not fair. Like in the locker rooms, we had to talk English, because like it's not fair if you're from a different country and you're in the locker room. You should use the same language. So we did that, but we used our language to our advantage on the ice, and that was it.
Oh, I
Lubo,
would absolutely. Go ahead, Brock.
Lubos, I was going to ask you, who are some of the players that, number one, you just enjoyed watching as a player? Maybe your kind of your colleagues, and then who are players right now that you really enjoy watching? You think they have a beautiful game?
Well, back in the day when I was playing, like McKinnis, Pronger, they were like it was like for me, it was like having a front row, right? Because you were sitting on the bench, and you were on the same team. And then obviously, Joe Sakic was one of my favorite players to watch. So every time, Lidstrom from Detroit, Eiserman. So like back in the day, like, I mean, Gretzky was there. So we
Mm,
played, a few games. So, I mean, every game that we played, or, I played in the NHL, was like, I'm living my dream, right? So like, because you're
yeah.
playing against the top players in the world. So it was really interesting, and to me, live it for 3 years. It was great. And right now, today, like, I watching today's hockey is so different than watching than playing 25 years ago or whatever, a long time. That's so different. But today's
Mm,
hockey is so
sure.
much Europeanish, would say,
Yeah.
because there's no more physicality like it used to be, and so much skill. It's the skill work that they do, those kids, like, it's unreal. Like, now when I'm coaching my son, I'm going on the ice with my son. The skill that he has, like, I can't do like half of the stuff that he does. So it's unbelievable. And for me, watching, like, I really like. I mean, obviously, McDavid. He's one of the best. He's the best player, not one. He's the best player in the league. Like, if you watch him, the way he plays, it's really something that I really enjoy. But one of my top players that I really enjoy watching is Crosby, just because the way he plays and he's been playing, and he's been very consistent throughout the years, right? So like offensively and defensively, and that's what I really you know enjoy him, because he plays two-way, and he's a great leader, and if you listen his interviews, that's another thing that when he listens to his interviews, they're very on point and very good. So it's really good. So those are the two plays that I really enjoy watching, and and obviously everyone in the league. Like I really like Cale Makar, defenseman. Like he is, defenseman that you want to have on your team, right? So yeah.
We're going to invite one more guest on here. One more of our friends that's pretty good. She's actually was adopted from Russia. And I think that, she has a little bit different, take and would really love to talk to you. So we're going to invite her on in a second. While we're doing that, I want to ask you a question about the, Blues winning the cup. Now I asked this to almost every former Blue. Did you feel like that was your cup also?
No, not at all. It's their cup. Like they won it, they deserved it, they earned it. So like, I felt like I was part of the, fans that were cheering for them. Like, I really was hoping for them to win, just because they started, the journey back in, like, what was that, like in December or January, when they started winning and getting back, and from last place, and then they got into the playoffs, and that's kind of, I knew that they had something going. So and I no, I didn't feel it was it's their cup, like not at all. Like for me, it was just like
So you weren't Brett Hull dancing down the streets drunk at 2:30 in the morning?
No, I was, no, not at all. No, I don't drink alcohol at all. So
Good for you. Good
well,
for you.
yeah, you're smart there, because I mean the picture of Brett Hull at 2:30 in the morning walking down the street of the parade route, just talking to fans,
Hey,
was amazing to me. Go ahead, Brock.
While we're waiting for our guest, there's a lot of pride with the Russian players all through the history since they've come in the league, and just talk about that whole brotherhood of, like, you're going across the ocean to play in America, and you guys all rely on each other, and you kind of talked a little bit about that with Dimitra, but just on the wider scale, all the Russian players come in the league and they seem to have a bond. Am I way off base, or is that
no,
pretty close?
no, like no, they're every like players that are from the same country that come in the league, they're kind of they feel like they're on, because they all play for the national team, so they they got a good that brotherhood feel or whatever, and so it's nice. And but I feel like if you play in the NHL, you don't have to play on the same team, or even if you play on the same team, like everyone's kind of tight, and if you go somewhere on a vacation or you meet them somewhere, like they always kind of hang out, and they're not every player, because how many players are in the NHL, right? So that's the top league in the world. So it just, the bond is right there. I mean, obviously there's some rivalry and hatery, you would say, but I mean, I remember when we were at NHLPA meetings, like we met, and like every you talk to anybody, it was really nice atmosphere, really nice events, and like so it's good. Anybody in the NHL, even now, like when I go to the games, and like here I'm in Nashville, like never met Ryan Smith before I played against him. I met him. It was just like right away. It was just like, hey, how you doing, Bart? This, and then just like we hit it off. And same with Martin Erod, right? And all the other guys, like JP Dumont is here. So it's really nice. Those guys are really nice.
Oh, I mean, that's great.
Hello.
So we have Katrina on. She has
everybody.
a really good question that she wants to ask you, Lubos. Go ahead, Katrina.
So, well, I mean, I've been watching the Blues since I was very young. I was, 1999 was when I first went. We had season tickets, so I remember you and Dimitra, definitely. And what you just said kind of put me in my feelings. So my question is, we know that you're very humble, but I really would like to know what your favorite goal was, or how hard it was, and what it took to get there, and what made it most memorable. Yeah, you have to think in the bank.
I have to dig. I have to dig deep. Favorite goal? Huh. That's a good question.
Or I guess most memorable, because you have a lot of favorite goals. Every goal you score is
I
important.
mean, if you're in the NHL, I guess every goal that you score is, kind of memorable because, first of all, not many players can score that many goals, right? So like every goal for me was just kind of like a jackpot, right? So, I was not the goal scorer, but I scored every now and then. And, for me, it was just kind of, really, really enjoyable. But one thing I remember is scoring 2 goals in New York Rangers. And I had 2 goals. I was scratched the night before, and then the coach put me in the lineup. So, I had to perform. So I went out and I had the best time, and it was a really good game. And I scored 2 goals. One of them, Pierre Turgeon passed to me, and then I remember I was so close to a hat trick, and I think Pierre Turgeon passed to me again. It was across the net, and I had wide open net, and I missed it, like by a smidge. So, and I never scored a hat trick, but I had 2 goals, and I remember that like today, and just kind of stick with me. I was happy, but at the same time, I was sad because I could have had a hat trick, but I never had a hat trick. But it was that. That's probably one of the most memorable ones that I had. So, and obviously first one that we saw in the video. But the funny thing is, I don't remember that goal. So, isn't that ironic? It's so funny. I don't remember that goal scoring, and it's like I'm just like, and I watched that video. Like I go into YouTube and I just like type first goal because I want to see it. And then just like watch it. I'm just trying to remember. I don't remember that goal at all. So,
you look at it, look at it, and you go, "Oh, I backhanded it. I didn't think I backhanded it."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Real quick,
What was it like hearing Ken Wilson call that goal? Sorry, Brett.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
What was that like hearing Ken Wilson call that goal? Now that because on
ice,
you don't get to hear that.
Yeah, he was awesome. So every goal that he called, I mean, it was awesome. Like it was really nice.
Yeah. He lives here in Hawaii. I'm trying to get him on. Go ahead, Brock. Sorry about that.
Real quick, I'm just scanning the roster, of the 2000 team, and man, just what a great lineup. Scotty Young, go down the lineup. But one player that jumps out, and I want to get your opinion, is Roman Turek. He had the misstep in the playoffs, and his entire career just got derailed. And you knew him, and you were a teammate of his. And what did you think about that situation? Kat, you can't believe I asked that or something?
No, great question, because I used to listen to my dad bitch about this all the time.
But Roman Turek really took the brunt of that, and it really wasn't all his fault. But what did you see? What do you want to say about Roman Turek?
Well, Roman was great. Like he was really good goalie. He was, we hung out, like he was a great friend, great teammate. Like I can't say, good things about him. Like he's been just like Pavel, like super humble, great family, but he was in a tough spot. Like I kind of get it where, he was on a team that we were kind of like, I mean, if you look at our team, like we were like really, really, like we had so many superstars that,
Yep.
So I think it's, again, my opinion. Like, I think, there was a lot of pressure that he had to go through, and he had to face. It's not easy. Let me tell you that. It's not easy at all. And especially being goalie, like, so he was not in, it was not the best spot that he was in because, it just, like, I think it was every game that he played, like, we were talking like, oh, it's like, we're going to win the cup, we're going to win the cup. You know, if you have a strong goalie, which he was a strong goalie, but you can have a couple of
Yeah, he
hiccups
played
and
great.
you
He
out.
played great that entire series. Yeah, he played great that series.
And those are the different makers, and like you have a couple of hiccups and you're gone. And it unfortunately happened to us, and but that's not just on him, but like I think he would have taken us all the way. I still believe that. That year that we got eliminated, first round, and we missed Powell the first, like there were so many other pieces that kind of were missing. And again, it was just, I don't know, maybe sometimes if you want to win the cup, like or if you want to win a championship, like it's a long road, like and maybe
Yeah.
that was the learning process for us. But it was the way it was. But there's nothing we can do right now.
Well,
You're telling us you're the one that had to go through the entire journey of trying to get the cup.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that President's Trophy team and that 7-game series with the Sharks. Was there ever really a time that you guys thought, my goodness, we could lose this, we could get bounced in the first round? Did that cross your mind? Did even in Game 7, or was it, oh, we're good enough, we're going to make it through? What was the mindset of the team, including yourself, during that series?
I mean, the mindset was, like we were. I mean, every game you go in the playoffs, you want to win, right? And not, it's not going to happen. Like playoffs is a whole different story than a regular season, right? So and especially like Game 7 for a lot of us, that was the first Game 7. It just like we had young team, but at the same time we had experienced team. So it was a good mixture, but just for some reason, it just wouldn't be enough. And those are the things that you learn over the years. And especially for me, like if I wish I could take it back, like I would have been a different player. I would have done so many different things that I've done, but there's nothing I can do, and I've learned from it. And like went out, we played in the World Championship, and right after when they went to the finals that year, that after we got bumped out, I went for the World Championship for Slovakia. We took our team to the finals and lost in the finals. So again, like that's another. And then 2 years later, we won the World Championship. So it just kind of, and then after that, I went to Russia. Like it was the lockout year. I played on the Russian team, like Dynamo Moscow, right? All the NHL guys were in Russia, right? Making so much money and playing, and we won that league that year. So I was on, part of the, couple of championship teams. So it's just kind of, you learn from it, and you kind of take those little things that you should have done back then, and you bring them into the game. So those are the things that I've learned, and it is what it is. I mean, again, like I strongly wish that I could have taken the time back, and I would have been playing a little bit differently, but.
I have to say I'm blown away by your stories, and I disagree when you say that you think that the cup isn't yours. I think every Blues player in the past who has contributed to the Blues does have something to do with it. And the way that you spoke about St. Louis and your time there, I think that we would wholly accept you as being a part of somebody who would win the cup. I can't believe that this is happening right now. This is incredible. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, well,
my pleasure.
we're glad to do this, and I know Lubos is glad. Hey, Lubos, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We really do appreciate it. I hope you'll come back on again. I know live is kind of hard sometimes, but we've graciously enjoyed your time. I want to add one thing to what you were saying. So I met Tyson Nash at a signing the next season. And I was active duty Navy at the time, and I had told him, my little story. He looked me dead in the eyes and it says, "I'm so sorry for that debacle last year." And I just felt the heart, how much it meant to him to just say that. Yeah. Right. Did you guys, I mean, was that the feeling that you had too, to the fans that you were sorry for the fans for what happened?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's tough, but that's just, again, like we go back to the reality, and we have to face things that, we have to. So yeah, I mean, it's, and Nasher, that, remember Nasher, like he, I played with him in the minor league and then played with him on a team in St. Louis, and he was, like Jamal Mayers was my roomie for 3 years, 2
Yeah.
years. So he was like, one of the, like, we created a really good bond. And Asher
Mhm.
was one of the, like, I spent a lot of time with him as well because, he was, almost the same age as me. So it was great. So yeah, I mean, Asher's been great. And you can tell, like, I was telling you that, our team was, every guy was, exceptional, like so special. Like there was no I on our team. It was always, about the teammate, and that's one of the things that, like I told you before, like it will stick with me, and we're still till today. We have events with the alumni. We see each other. It's like we never left. So this is something that really.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
hearing that. It's why I think hockey is just one of the most connected sports, really.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great, Lubos. We've absolutely enjoyed having you on. If you don't mind, could you stick around after we sign off? We'd like to talk to you for a few minutes, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay, everybody. This is Guy for the Russian Cat,
Hi,
Rock
Cat.
Banner, and our special guest, Lubos Bartecko, saying aloha, mahalo, and you got to know that I'm bleeding blue with you, and I cannot wait to talk to you tomorrow night. For a double night, we got the Boston and the Islanders and Tampa Bay and Carolina, and that's going to be a great series. We also have that wonderful series coming up next, the Knights and the Avalanche. If you haven't gotten in the Pick'em contest, get in there. We love you all. So this is Guy saying aloha, and I'll see you on the next BlueNote Fan Report because I am bleeding blue with you.